Okay, we are live.
All right, so I guess we will get started. Thanks everyone for joining. Okay, so we have with us today Destiny Ray, Draco Des. Am I pronouncing that properly? Is it Draco or Draco?
Draco.
Draco, okay, excellent. And Corey of the Black Trunks. Thanks so much for being present, guys. I think we have a really good discussion tonight with some really heavy-hitting questions that'll spur a lot of discussion. So I think we'll jump right into it. I've organized the questions a bit, so hoping the flow goes really nice. And I'm going to start with a biggie here, and we're seeing it all over the place every single day. Somebody huge is getting canceled. So let's get right into it. In this cancel culture, do you think backlash on social media ever goes a little too far? Do you think it's unfair to people who've apologized for what they said and made a tangible effort to make up for their past behavior?
I mean, I would go first. Well, I'm gonna start off with saying, yes, it is possible taking it too far. Like when you're sending somebody death threats, that's too far, of course. But I mean, a lot of these stars now, their past is coming to hunt them. They probably didn't think they would get the platform they're about to get. So they was acting out. Because there's a few I can name, but I'm not going to do it. I mean, you guys know who they are. You know what I mean?
Of course.
But they're definitely acted out, and it's in a horrible way. Like when you're like super racist and all that stuff comes out, and now you're having a good girl act. It's like, is that really you? Is this really who that person is? So I mean, they do deserve a little bit of backlash, but not to the point where it's like super toxic. Like to the point where you're getting death threats, your family's involved. That's too much.
Exactly. Destiny, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes viewers forget that there's a real person behind the screen. And so they tend to just say whatever they feel like because they can't really see that that person is real and they can see all these things that you're saying. But yeah, I feel like going into like social media, when you have a platform, you kind of have to be prepared for that because the same people that bring you up are the same people that can bring you down.
Exactly. But what if the person's really young and they don't have that life experience to really, be accountable for their actions? Like, I feel that I feel racism really does start at home. A little baby's not born racist.
Yeah.
And I feel that when I was in my teens, I knew better. You're not judging people by their color, but I think somebody in their 50s who's super racist and racist online, maybe deserves to get called out and canceled, whereas a teenager probably deserves a bit more of a chance. And then so this leads into my next question. Do you follow Diet Prada, that account on Instagram? It's basically a call out account. It's fantastic. If you don't follow it already. They've been calling out well-known brands over the last week for racist business practices. How do you feel about such a popular platform spreading messaging that way? I think they have about 220,000 followers, but their engagement is absolutely massive. So what do you think of such a popular platform using their voice that way to spread that sort of messaging?
I didn't hear about this until today, actually. And so I did check out their account. And I feel like as consumers, we should know about the brands and we should know like what their past was. And it's just up to us if we want to keep on purchasing stuff from them.
Agreed. I think they should be held to a higher standard. A lot of these brands have board members and codes of ethics. And I can't believe some of these really well-known popular brands are totally not inclusive or flat out racist. Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree exactly with what you guys said. I mean, if these brands are racist like the way it is, like you just learned about the pancake brand. I can't pronounce the name that well, but I mean, what else can you say? I mean, it's probably time to cancel. I mean, even though it's toxic, it's probably time to cancel if it's that race, if it's built off of a racist stigma. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and exactly, to completely offend and disparage a huge percentage of the population that has a lot of spending power. Yeah, they have it coming. They deserve it.
Yeah, it's time to find something new. 100%.
Yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about non-inclusive brands that have apologized now for their past behavior? Should Black influencers consider working with them? I'll tell you guys a little story, and like, this is totally real life. When I first started blogging, I approached a really huge, well-known beauty brand. I wanted to collaborate with them, and they flat out told me in like 2 really short sentences, "We don't serve people who look like you." And then last year they came back and asked me to collaborate, and I was so angry. I was so angry. Like, I don't hold grudges, but back then it really hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I felt racist. And sure enough, they came crawling back. So like, what do you feel? What do you feel about that? These non-inclusive brands? And
I mean, yeah, I would probably look for the next brand, something else in that genre, in that field. I mean, you disrespecting me like that. Don't just try to, swim around because of the movement. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't a fad, this isn't a trend. It should have been like that,
Yeah.
I would like to say, like, I don't know, because it's like some brands, yes, they're just doing it because like it's a trend right now. But like, for me, it's like, if they're gonna be open to it now, then we can't really do anything, because that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for equality. So if they're gonna open up now and be like, okay, we're gonna treat you the same as everyone else, then I don't know.
And I think us as influencers, you raise a really great point, Destiny. Us as influencers, I think we have sort of a responsibility to show other influencers of color that it's possible for us to work with these huge brands. Like, we can pave the way for, let's say, the little guy to come up and work with these brands. So maybe it is to our advantage to, I hate to use the word suck it up and work with these brands who weren't inclusive before. But another thing to take into consideration is they could be under new management, better management than they were before. So I feel like it's also up to the influencer to do their due diligence and their research on the brand to see if it's worth partnering with somebody who used to be shady.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like seeing ourselves more like with these, like working with these bigger companies, it's going to, like, little kids that are seeing this, it's going to open their eyes, because I know when I was younger, I didn't have anyone to look up to except for like Zendaya.
Oh yeah.
So
that's right. That's a great point. Corey, anything else?
But yeah, and I'm just speaking from my point of view. Like, a lot of creators have a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And if you got an amazing opportunity with this brand, I'm not telling you just flat out deny it, because everybody got their personal things they're dealing with, and, bills and all the other good stuff. If this can help you, do what you have to do, if you have a good heart, just do what you have to do.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's a great point. Paying bills, definitely.
Yeah.
So what can past non-inclusive brands do now to be more inclusive, other than include people of color in their marketing? What would you like to see from them now, other than just, the performative measures of maybe just posting a person of color to their social media channels? What else can they do to prove that they really mean it?
Just real life stuff, like a lot of this social media stuff, I guess it's just social media. Real life things that you're helping with. You're really helping people out, helping the Black community out in real life, not just posting on social media. That's the way to do it. Like, not just donating to these foundations online. Just make sure they actually go. And if you are donating to the foundations, make sure it's like 100% legit, because a lot of these foundations are fake out here. So just real time in the field.
Yeah. It's important to me to see these brands have people of color as employees, and not just employees, people of color in high ranking positions in their companies. What we need now are decision makers who are people of color, because, it's hard for, let's say, a white person to be making decisions on products to be sold to Black people or Asian people or Indigenous people, so on and so forth. That's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with what both of you guys are saying. So I don't think I need to add on that.
Okay. So have you noticed an uptick in brands reaching out to you guys since this movement has really gained traction?
No, no, not for me at least.
Oh, I can't keep up. Like, that's why I have carpal tunnel. Because
wow.
my DMs are absolutely full of brand offers from brands I never thought would consider working with somebody like me. And like crazy stuff, like fishing rod companies and breweries that like I would look at their past marketing and it's like, you know, big burly guys with beards and like people who camp a lot. I don't camp. So yeah, I feel like I've seen a real uptick in it. I'm surprised you guys have such.
I've seen a little bit. Like from 2 months ago compared to now. You know, it's going on an incline. I would say it's definitely going on an incline.
Okay, Destiny, I hope like you've got some hair tips, girl, that can help everybody. All right, so what are some things Black influencers should think about when considering whether to partner with brands in this current environment? I think we touched on this a little, like researching the brand. Anything else from your points of view?
I feel like just while emailing or talking to the brand, just make sure that they're respecting you and maybe try to see how they talk to like other people that may not look like you and figure out if that's a brand that you want to work with.
Definitely.
Yeah. Scroll through their Instagram, just see what the type of diversity or what's going on their page, you know?
Yeah. I definitely, if I don't know about a brand whatsoever, but they're fairly popular, and if I look through their feed and I know some of the influencers that they've featured before, I will reach out and ask like, oh, you know, what are they like? I don't do it too often. But yeah, it has helped in the past for sure. It's like a reference check for a job. Yeah. Okay, so and then that leads into the next one. How do you determine whether or not they're worth partnering with? Like from a person, like a Black person's point of view, what makes it worth partnering with a brand who wasn't so inclusive before?
I feel like if they come to you telling you like their message and what they're trying to put out now, then I feel like it's your decision to see if that's something you want to do.
Correct.
Yeah, make sure it can benefit you and your fan base, like, you know.
And most importantly, they are paying you what you're worth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, Black people like notoriously make so much less than white influencers.
Yeah.
Yeah, try to find out what they're paying everybody and make sure you're getting the same.
Oh yeah, I can agree with that 100%. I learned a lot when I went out to LA. Like I had a few trips to LA. You know, when you talk to those people out there, a lot of the Black creators are getting paid around what I'm playing, but a lot of the white creators it's a different ball game. Make sure you're talking around. You know, it took me a long time to learn that. You know, it took me like 3 years to finally understand. Like, okay, something's not right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And personally, I find unless you have management behind you, it's really hard to find out what you are worth, right? I feel like there's no solid scales out there that can tell you what you're worth according to your following and your engagement and stuff. So doing the research it's really worthy and finding out how to do proper research.
Yeah, that's what I learned. That's what I learned. Dosito, big shout out to them for helping me, you know. What I was charging before compared to what they showed me it's a different ball game. Like I said, I'm living different what I was a few years ago, you know. Yeah. So it's like
when I started, I'd be like, yes, I'll do anything for a blue lipstick.
right. Anything for free. I'm just like, yo, I can help you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, so next question. Have any of you experienced colorism as an influencer? So, you know, I know I've experienced it tons. Lighter skinned Black people are considered more worthy than darker skinned Black people. So If so, what happened? How did you handle colorism, and what did you learn from that, if you experienced it?
I personally have never experienced colorism because I'm light skinned, but it's like it's a lot in the media, especially growing up. Like there was a lot of songs and it would be like light skinned girl, like just I don't know, it makes me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
It makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
it's bad. And I feel like because all of us grew up like this, it's now we're putting it out into the world and it's not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I haven't experienced anything like that, but seeing it online, you see it a lot. Like one of the artists, like Russ, he brought light to the situation a long time ago. Like people using light skinned girls all the time. He was the one to bring like a full cast of brown skinned girls, dark skinned girls. So that's where I've seen it.
Excellent. A personal experience, when I was a teenager, I went on a go-see with a modeling agency, and they basically said, yeah, there's no market for you. You're just, yeah, especially in this market, you're too dark skinned. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, now it's like all these companies want people with darker skin.
Finally.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, Corey, I feel like it's less prevalent with males than it is with females.
I agree.
For a long time, Beyonce was the be all and end all, but now it's for women. But for men, I feel like it's not as much of a thing.
Yeah, I agree on
Yeah,
a zillion% on that. Like it's completely different for us.
yeah. Okay, so have any of you been invited to an event or a group press trip and been the only person of color in attendance? And if so, how did that make you feel?
I haven't personally.
Okay.
I mean, besides in high school, no, not like social media wise, I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, social media.
I feel like the press trips I've gone on, I'm always invited by really large brands with really big budgets. Therefore, they really do market research, and they know that they need to have like it equally represented on the press trip. But like there's been, you can Google it, I won't name names, but a huge fashion retailer out of California that is notorious for having these stellar press trips, and every single girl looks the same. And when they were called out on it, they invited one Asian girl who from afar looked like the rest of them.
Wow.
And now actually they were called out on Diet Prada and had to formally apologize. So yeah, it's hurtful.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about engaging your audience as a person of color influencing. So are you worried at all about using your platform to share your political reviews regarding the upcoming election in the States? Destiny, this probably won't apply. Do you feel that you will suffer any repercussions?
I mean, I'm of course going to talk about who I'm going to vote for, but I'm not going to make it a main focus on my channel. I would talk to you in person about it, but for me, I'm not going to make it like 20 posts about vote this, vote that, don't vote this, vote that.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel how you feel, do what you feel like you should do,
Yeah.
I'm not.
There was a time when it was okay to have differing political opinions, and you could be friends with people who didn't have the same political opinion as you.
Yeah.
But now in the States, it's so polarized, and one political camp is a little troubling.
Yeah, cancel culture is very real.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself out there to get canceled. That's all I can say right now, because these people are vicious. These people are vicious. So.
Yeah. So I hear you. Like I personally stay away from all of that, or being very vocal politically. Like when it comes to actual like government political relations, I do encourage people to get out and vote, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you feel about minorities speaking out against the Black Lives Matter movement? What are your thoughts on Candace Owens? So she's a prominent conservative political activist who, doesn't have too many favorable things to say about those rioting and those protesting. Yeah, so she's also a Trump supporter. She called members of the BLM movement whiny toddlers pretending to be oppressed for attention. So yeah, what do you think of fellow Black people who are against the Black Lives Matter movement?
I mean, everybody want to go viral and let their voice be heard right now.
Yeah.
You know, like, and with this
I don't
cancel
agree with
culture,
that.
yeah, with this cancel culture right now, it's not doing nothing but amplifying people. It's making people want to, go more towards their side,
Yeah,
or far left or far right, wherever you are. It's just making you get amped up and more rowdy.
yeah. I was just going to say that takes a very special, very brave person to go against your own kind and make fun of your own kind for views. That, like, wow, that's
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. Speaking your mind. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I mean, do we have to agree with it? No, we don't have to give it attention. So
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are giving those people the attention that they want, and so they keep on doing it. But if we stop feeding into it, then people will stop as well.
Yeah. People are also really defensive and sensitive, right? A lot of people they take everything really personally, myself included. Like when I saw Candace Owens speaking, like I just got so upset. It would never occur to me to be like, oh, well, stop watching her, stop giving her a platform.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's what the media sort of wants to encourage also, right? So like an environment they want to foster to boost their own ratings. So, all right. So regarding social trends, all over the world, statues of racist leaders have been torn down. So Leopold, I don't know if you guys know who Leopold is. He's an absolutely horrible dictator who was pretty vicious to black people in the, I think 1700s, something like that. Also Christopher Columbus in Richmond, Virginia. Confederate statues down south. They've all been torn down and like thrown into rivers and lakes, you name it. Personally, I feel this is really long overdue. I don't think there should be a statue of General E. Lee like celebrated in the middle of a city. How did it make you feel seeing these symbols of slavery and colonialism being torn down by regular people out in the open, in broad daylight?
Well deserved. I mean, it's been long overdue, if you ask me. Like, that should have happened years ago. If you ever want things to be equal, you can't hold on to something that's racist. You know what I mean? That just basically worshiping that time period.
Yeah, like a blatant symbol of racism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I read in the news that they're trying to preserve that statue of General Robert E. Lee down south. It's a famous statue. I can't remember where, but he was the leader of the Confederate Army. He was so against abolishing slavery, and I can't believe there's a huge amount of people who want to save this statue. It's crazy to me. Anyways. Okay, so in November, U.S. citizens will be heading to the polls for the next presidential election. Will you be using your platform to discuss who you'll be voting for or spreading information on the presidential candidate? So I guess we've covered that already. We can skip that question.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you guys have anything else to add.
No, I can't vote.
I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm sorry. I always feel everybody's old like me. Okay, so the next category is how can the audience keep the message strong? So are you worried, if you were to share your political views, let's say you did have a change of heart, would you be worried about any repercussions at all? Corey, you strike me as somebody who does not care.
Yeah, I mean, if I really feel that way, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. But like I said, just be smart. Just be smart. Don't say nothing that's gonna really diminish your brand.
Yeah, or it might make you lose money. Don't
do nothing that's gonna affect you in your personal life.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Also, don't say nothing that's gonna put a target on your head, regardless of how right you are. Honestly, I feel like if it's something that's going to put a target on your head, because it's happening a lot around here. I don't know if people are looking into it. A lot of people are getting hanged. A lot of people going missing right now. It's not getting the coverage it deserves.
Yeah.
And voicing, sad to say, but voicing your opinion to a certain amount or a certain extent is going to get you, it could possibly get you in a lot of trouble. And death could be the cause of it. So
yeah,
it's really sad, but
that's so scary to me. Like it's for real.
Yeah, it's real life. Like a lot of things are going on. It's super sad. Super sad. So
Destiny, anything to add?
I feel like everything is covered.
Okay. I should pause and ask if there are any questions from people watching. Are we still good to truck along? Okay. All right. So that is it for questions. Is there anything else you guys want to discuss or?
yeah, I will.
Okay.
To the people of color, ladies, man, make sure you're protecting yourself around this time. Like things have just been getting worse. If you ask me, it doesn't look like it's really getting too much better. It's just bringing light to everything that's going on. Make sure you're protecting yourself. You're in safe situations. You're not out late night. Just make sure you're home and in a safe place, a safe space. Watch who you're hanging around.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay safe.
You know, have either of you lost any friends since this has started, since this has gotten really nasty?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a loner. Like, besides, like, I mean, I know I post a lot of social media things, but I'm a loner. I don't really have many friends in real life, to be honest. Everybody I know is like my dog. You know what I mean? I only got like 2 people I hang out with or talk to on a basis.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I went to the protest in Toronto. It was so peaceful. Like nothing bad was happening. It was really nice.
This was downtown Toronto?
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I went to the big one here in Ottawa and it was honestly beautiful.
Really, yeah.
Beautiful. There were like bands and music and dancing and spoken word poetry, and it was gorgeous. And I loved it. Like I left feeling very full of hope. My audience is older and more outspoken. And yeah, I've had a lot of difficult conversations and DMs. And I have I've been called a lot of nasty names because of the way I sound. You know, I get the Oreo thing a lot, which is, it's so tired. And I hate that personally because it discounts all the hard work that my parents did to raise me in a good neighborhood and send me to good schools. So, you know, people in DMs will call me these names and, you know, I'm in an interracial marriage, for instance. And, you know, I had one guy say, you know, like a black man say, you have no business speaking about this. You don't really know the struggle. You've never felt black love. And it's just very painful.
Yeah.
Especially when it's from the mind, so.
I mean, a lot of people say things online. Like, I mean, when I'm playing the game, Call of Duty is the most, I don't care what nobody says. Like when you're playing online gaming, that's the most toxic community you could possibly be in. Call of Duty is the most toxic, hands down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just got to realize sometimes, you know, they're just talking online. They're not going to come up to you, like, say this to your face. At least I don't think nobody would. It hasn't happened to me. Nobody just came out to me.
I probably step to you, Corey, and be like, hey.
Nobody. I'm just like,
Imagine.
I mean, I get it if you're saying it online, but come on, that's not who you really are, you know? So I'm just like, you know, I'm shrugging it off, you know, shoulder.
So we do have a question from a viewer. Okay, so this question's from Vincent. How can brands represent diversity better? So we broached this at the beginning of the conversation, but Destiny or Corey, if you want to give some tips on that or your thoughts.
Diversity better, like we were saying, or like you said, have people higher up, like just very diverse and knows about these communities and all the other good stuff. And on the commercials, just have it mixed up, mixed race. Don't just have one group, whether it's all black or all white. You know what I mean? Just like, if your brand is supposed to be diverse, make it diverse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think the donations are important too. Like you had mentioned, like not just donations, but I think it says a lot about a company if they're willing to give up a little bit of their bottom line to support an organization that represents people of color, Indigenous people, like the whole gamut. So I think that's big. A lot of these organizations are not for profit. And they need that money. So I think that's really, really important. So like I just recently partnered with 2 brands, and one of which gave 25% of their sales over the weekend to the NAACP. The other one gave 20% of their sales to the Black Legal Action Center, which is a grassroots organization in Toronto, and it levels the playing field for minorities who are, have run into legal trouble. So I think that's really great. We have another question. All right, this one's from Sandy Esprit. How do you avoid being a token versus being the first Black influencer to work with a brand? That's a solid question.
How do you avoid being a token?
Is that up to the influencer?
Yeah, I mean, that is tough to.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about
being the first. I mean,
I just feel like
avoid that? How can you avoid that? I mean, is there more Black influencers also being chosen for this, or I don't know, a way to avoid it other than saying no if you want to say no? I mean,
honestly, and then you cut sort of your revenue, or again, if you don't partner with this brand who you feel is partaking in tokenism, you don't show other people of color that they can work with this brand, that it's possible for them. Like it's like a goal for them. So I don't know. I feel like, yeah, that's really hard.
Yeah, that is a tough one.
Yeah. Good one, Sandy. You stumped us.
Yeah, I kind of got quiet for a second.
All right, we have another question from Beatrice Tutu. What do you feel about people being fired from brands and television shows, or movies being removed, like Gone with the Wind? Wow, I didn't realize that. Gone with the Wind was too long anyways.
Yeah. What do I feel about people being fired from brands? I mean, they better completely change their perspective on things.
Yeah.
Because, now it's real. I mean, I feel like being fired, I don't know. If it's going to change, that completely changes somebody's life. It flips it upside down. Maybe talking to them or just trying to get them to understand, checking in on them, making sure they actually understand the movement and what's really going on and what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, if they continue to, voice their ways like they are or they previously did, then I might cut it. But completely changing somebody's life and hurting them in the long term, they got a family to support too. You know what I mean?
So this is what I feel like. I saw a lot of stuff play out in the media over the past week. And, we saw one woman trying to destroy another. And then the repercussion of that was that woman being destroyed and like her livelihood taken away. And I worked in mental health for a long time. And when people get canceled like that, it takes a very strong person to get over that.
Yeah.
And even if the person had it coming, or let's say deserved it, for lack of a better word, I saw in mental health somebody get canceled and he killed himself because he just couldn't deal with the hate. It was constant for months, and he felt terrible what he did. He was ultimately very remorseful and saw the error of his ways, but people just wouldn't let up.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
They should make them do like a course, to be honest with you. Just do a course and understand what's going on. Like how they do 50 hours. Make them do 50 hours of a course and just understand the severity of it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a huge, what's happening right now in media is a huge learning opportunity for everyone. I'm so careful now. Not that I was going on running at the mouth, but I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to. I'm afraid to call out people. I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But I don't want somebody who has kids and a house and all this to completely be destroyed.
Yeah.
I know some people have it coming. And you're a grown adult, you should know better. But yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted. Maybe I'm too much of a problem. I don't know.
No, I feel that 100%. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't call out nobody unless you're honestly thinking about the repercussions of what could possibly happen. Like I said, it's crazy times. A lot of people are under stress. Their mental is not where it should be. So
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great point. Any other questions from viewers? Okay. Well, we have one from Lexi S. Okay, what would be the best way for a small business to approach BIPOC influencers on a limited budget? Typically, we trade for product and blog posts. Can you give some insight? You know what? Personally, I feel like I really try hard to get paid for all of my social media work. I feel like I've gotten to a level where my engagement's good, my following is genuine. I deserve to be paid unless I know the small business owner really well and want to help her, or I really believe in what the small business is doing. And then I'm happy to do the contra work. What do you guys think?
I mean,
I don't know if you want to talk. I feel like if they have a message behind it that like I want to like show that to my audience, then yes, but like overall I do feel like I should be getting paid for the work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
yeah, I've been lowballed so much in the past. I'm paranoid. I would say, like, so the chances of me really like going out my way to take a hit, I don't see myself personally doing it. But I mean, maybe I might promote it on my Instagram story or something like that, or I might talk about your content or your brand. But as far as like, making a legit post and sketch out of all of it,
Yeah.
And maybe also I would say, that the small business can make a really solid case to the person, the influencer that they want to work with. Like, I know that small businesses, like, they don't have the money until they get going. But if they're willing to maybe repost that influencer a lot, or, make a donation, even if it's small, to the influencer's organization of choice, like charity of choice, just going out of their way to make the effort. But I think for the most part, maybe just save until you can afford to pay that influencer. Everybody's got to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I think we have one. Sandy, should cancel culture apply to businesses who are known for ignoring diversity on their platforms? Yes.
Yeah. Literally. It's the same if like a person is getting canceled because of whatever they're doing. It's the same with brands.
Yeah, I think even more so. I would rather actually any day call out or like have a brand canceled if they're completely ignoring a large segment of the population that has a lot of disposable income to keep their business in business.
Yeah.
And you know what? There are so many Instagram accounts out there run by big brands that are well loved that don't have one person of color at all
Yeah.
on their feed, and they have like 5,000 pictures up there. I find that disgusting.
Yeah, no diversity at all.
Yeah, it's 2020.
Yeah, we see it everywhere.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely would rather actually apply to businesses than actual individuals, unless the individual is like a blatant racist.
Yeah. Exactly.
Any other questions from online? Well, I think we will wrap it up there. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. So basically, just to summarize, I think that, influencers really need to do the research on who they're working with. They should also have a strategy on how to promote diversity themselves and how to keep the Black Lives Movement from becoming a trend. Like this is a social change that is beneficial whether people like it or not. So yeah, it's everybody's responsibility to keep it going and just continuing with spreading awareness in what I feel is like an open, mature way, instead of pointing fingers and destroying lives, and yeah, just being open and sensitive and keeping in mind that words really can hurt and destroy. And I think that is it. So a huge thank you, Destiny and Corey, for participating in the discussion tonight. You guys, I loved your point of view. It's fantastic, and I feel really helped to create an engaging and warm atmosphere for sharing information.
thank you for hosting, and thank you to everyone that came and watched it.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a good night, guys. Stay safe.
All right, you too.
All right. Bye.